You ever wonder why some people are just more successful than others? Is it because they're luckier, they have a higher IQ, got a rich family, or maybe just better connections in general? Well, from my experience, what took me from broke to over $19 million in sales by the age of 25, buying my dream car in cash at 23, and being the youngest country club member in the most exclusive neighborhood in all of the Caribbean, where Jake Paul and Ricky Martin are my neighbors. And by the way, I don't say any of this to impress you, I just say this to impress upon you that, no, it wasn't any of that. It was instilling high performance habits into my everyday lifestyle. You see, you don't decide your success. You decide your habits, and your habits then decide your success. And becoming wealthy is nothing more than the sum of small, deliberate decisions made daily to choose the right habits. And so today, I want to share with you the top 7 habits that if you decide on today, daily, moving forward, these will make you extremely, extremely wealthy. Let's dive in. Now, this first habit, some people are going to listen to and roll their eyes and click off the video. Let me say, those people are probably not even going to be successful. And it's getting to bed and waking up at the same time every day. But let me break down why this is so important. Because look, you can take cold showers, do your affirmation, your Bible study, your prayer, your workouts, your crazy diet and supplements. But if you have a poor sleep routine, nothing else matters. Going to bed between 8 to 9 p.m. and waking up 4 or 5 a.m. for the last 7 years of my life has been instrumental to my success. Because it allows for me to not only have proper recovery, but then when I'm up early in the morning, I have 4 hours of undistracted deep work to get ahead of my competition when the world is still sleeping. If you want to be a high-performance individual that safeguards his financial future, don't take this habit lightly. Now, before I share with you these 6 remaining habits, I want to tell you, well, what's the purpose of having high-performance habits? It's to be able to use them and leverage them to create a higher income so that you can provide for you and your family. So what I would recommend you do once you're done with this video is check out my most popular and well-received YouTube video where I go through the best 5-6 business models, because once you master these high-performance habits, you're going to want to apply one of these. So feel free to enjoy that YouTube video. It's the first link in the description once you're done with this one. Now, the second habit I want to talk about is throwing yourself constantly into uncomfortable situations. Because if you want to achieve what most people can't, you must be willing to do what other people won't. And it's not just reading self-help books and then moving on to the next YouTube video and then buying another course by some influencer talking about changing your life. And I want to be a little vulnerable here and share with you a story of an addiction I used to have when I was a student at UCLA. It was an addiction to being shy. I was so shy, I literally could not raise my hand in a classroom because I was nervous that the 20, 30 other students would look over at me when I raised my hand. And to combat against this, well, it sounds a little ridiculous right now, but I literally walked into the school cafeteria every day for 2 years and sat down with someone who was eating lunch alone, and I would ask them, hey, is anyone sitting here? Can I sit down with you? And I would sit down, learn about them with genuine curiosity, and over 2 years, I sat down literally with over 400 people to force myself out of the comfort zone of meeting new people because I was so shy and introverted. You have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations if you want to keep growing as a person. Now, if I could go back and give my 18-year-old self, that shy, insecure Richard, some advice, it would be this third habit I want to share with you right now. And it's following the principle I call focus, which if you spell it out, FOCUS stands for follow one course until successful. And the reason why I mention this is because I see so many young and old people alike constantly bouncing from one thing to another, never focusing and following through on one thing. I call that shiny object syndrome. I failed 4 businesses from 18 to 20 years old over the period of 3 years. And I realized after failing these businesses, man, how much time did I spend on each one? It ended up being 3 months, 6 months even. Man, you gotta understand, building a business takes years. It takes decades, for a matter of fact. And it wasn't until I humbled myself and realized, man, maybe I should just focus on one thing. And I sought after mentorship from my first mentor, where I decided to double down not on a business, but on a high income skill set. And very quickly that started turning into a $6,000, $7,000 a month full-time income while still going to school. Now, this next habit I want to share with you is fascinating, and it's called increasing the temperature of your environment. Because the reality is most of us grow up not wealthy. And chances are, if you're like me, you don't come from a wealthy family background, you don't come from connections. So you're inside of an environment that, as I like to call, a cool temperature. Whereas millionaires that you look up to, they're up here and they're running burning hot, red, hotter temperature. And so for me, at a very young age, I knew, well, I'm stuck in this very cool 60-degree weather and I need to get to the 80, 90 degrees. How do I get there? Now, one of the companies that I really looked up to when I was 19 was a company called Gymshark, which back then was worth about $300 million. Now it's worth over $1 billion. And the founder and owner, Ben Francis, was an entrepreneur I really respected and looked up to as a role model. Now, I'll leave this photo here because I sat down for over 2 hours with him one-on-one and had a one-on-one mentorship in his headquarter office in England and walked me through the path of how to not go on the medical path that I was heading on to become a doctor that I really wasn't passionate about and decided to become an entrepreneur. Ben, if you're watching this, love you, brother. Look, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And after that connection with Ben, I was introduced to so many other entrepreneurs. But what was more important is my mentality change. And the fastest way that you want to raise the temperature of your environment is if you want to meet someone and they have a product, buy that product. Invest into that. Become a good student of theirs. Show them that their product actually changes lives. Give them a great testimonial and they will become your best friend. I'll give you an example of Marcos. One of my best friends now, he's a business coach who is based out in Argentina, Buenos Aires. And when I first met him, he invested into one of our business consulting packages for my B2B division. It was a $50,000 for 1 year of consulting. And we helped his business go from $50,000 a month over $200,000 a month in the next 6 months. So obviously he made a pretty freaking awesome return on investment. We cultivated such an incredible relationship. I actually spoke out at one of his client events in Colombia. We've traveled the world together to different countries in South America and in the Caribbean, and we're genuinely best friends to this day. But that started because he invested in my coaching program with the intention to build a relationship with me. Now, this next habit here is unconventional, and it's never forgetting the source, and that's God. Look, in the last 5 years of being a business owner, I cannot tell you how many times I've contemplated just giving it all up and getting a 9-to-5 job. From painful moments like key employees of mine stealing over $50,000 from my company bank account without me knowing, to just working 14 hours a day, 6 days a week, and then even on Sundays, despite the fact that I'm so burnt out and my wife is just begging for me to spend a little bit of family time with her. But no matter what I went through, God was always there to guide me. And I know for a fact that I would be nowhere if it was not for God's hand and protection over my life. But here's the thing, whenever we decide to become a little too arrogant and we start to think that we're the God of our own lives, God has this way of humbling us. It says in James 4:6 that God opposes the proud and gives grace to the humble. What I love about what the Christian faith says is humans are very arrogant and egotistic. And whenever things in our life go well, the first thought that always comes to mind is, oh man, it's how hard I work. It's because of how charismatic I am, how good looking I am, how strong I am, how much endurance I have. It's always I, me. The reality is if you don't find a way to humble yourself, then God will. So always be grateful and cherish what it is that He's blessed you with, and never forget the source, that the reason for your success is because of Him. Now, if financial gain is what you seek, then you need to master this next habit, which is stacking your Goodwill bank account. Now, this isn't some kind of normal bank account. It's a Goodwill social relationship bank account. And the most important principle here is that for every $1 that you make, you need to make sure that your customers, the people around you, are receiving 5 to 10 times the value that you're charging. I run an online university, and I've been running this university for the last 4 years now. My first education product was how to master your productivity, and then we help businesses, how do you turn your skill sets into an online education business. And now we have an online university where we teach people different kinds of remote skill sets, all of which can build a full-time income 100% remotely. But here's the thing, the prices of our program have always been positioned where if it is a $500 program, I want people to be able to earn $5,000 from the information within the first few months of learning. So whenever you try to add value to other individuals, always think, is what I'm charging, my service, the value that I'm adding, or even if I'm giving free work, is it adding an exponentially greater amount of value to them where they can really look at you and go, man, this guy has given me way more than I've given him. And when you prioritize giving and being generous in everything that you do, the Lord has this way of blessing and returning things to you even more so. And the 7th habit is perhaps the most important one, because so many beginners, including myself, made this mistake when they first get started in their careers. And it's you need to get into the habit of learning a high income skill before you start a business. Remember when I told you a few minutes ago that I failed 4 businesses over a 3-year period before ever having any success? Well, after I failed all those businesses, I ended up meeting a mentor, Joel, who was running a $100 million a year supplement company. And he just chuckled at me and he said, Richard, why are you trying to be an entrepreneur? You're a wantrepreneur, a wannabe entrepreneur right now. Because look, if serving is below you, then leading is above you. He taught me this critical lesson which is I'm trying to be an entrepreneur because every guru flashing their Lamborghini and their expensive watches and expensive vacations, they're all saying, start a business, start a business. But here's the thing, I didn't have any skills. I was an 18, 19-year-old kid that didn't have parents that were entrepreneurs, didn't ever go through any kind of business myself, and check this out, never even worked in a successful business, so I didn't even know how a successful business ran. And so here's the funny thing, if you want to become a doctor, do you know what they make you do? They make you shadow doctors, go to school to follow doctors, learn from, study from successful doctors. But then when someone is a completely broke and unsuccessful entrepreneur, what do most beginners do? Oh, I've never shadowed or learned from other successful entrepreneurs. I'm just going to start from scratch and figure it out. And what did that result in for me? And probably you, failure after failure after failure. It turns out that learning high income skills, which are skills that can give you a full-time $5,000, $7,000 a month income online, pay your bills, be 100% remote, and give you the blessed opportunity to actually shadow within a business, those are the skill sets that you actually need if you want to be successful. And if you're thinking, well, Richard, what's the best high income skill for me to learn? Oh, I don't have enough time in this video, but my most popular YouTube video walks through what the best high income skills are that you should focus on depending on your personality, if you're introverted, extroverted, if you're beginner or advanced, and how much business experience you actually have. There's a high income skill waiting for you to take advantage of and earn a full-time income. Go ahead and watch that video, devour it, take notes, and implement what you learn and apply this information. Let me know in the comments down below which one of these habits you commit to applying today, and feel free to subscribe and drop a like on the video if this was useful for you. Remember, how you do one thing is how you do everything. I'm rooting for you. I'll see you in that video right over there.